If you're thinking about starting a voiceover business, then one of the things that you need to really consider is attending a live event with people in person. Classes are great, webinars are great, lives are great. I do them and I watch lots of them, but there's nothing like being able to network in person at a conference, IRL, in real life. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about different things to look for in a voiceover conference and the different conferences that there are. And actually, I'm making this into two parts because I suspect that it's going to take me a minute to get through everything that I want to share with you. So in part one, I'm going to talk about what it is that I look for in a conference before I attend voiceover or any kind of conference, really. And then second, I'm going to talk about the specific VO conferences, both the ones that I've gone to and the ones that I haven't gone to. There's like 10 of them. So if you are interested in this, if you've been thinking about going to an event but you're not sure what the differences are, then just check this out. One of the things that I tell people when they ask, how did you get into voiceover, is I went to a conference. It's really a great thing. A lot of people think that you should only go to a conference if you're already in the industry, if you already know your stuff, if you're already, fill in the title, whatever the title is. And that's not necessarily the case. I think it's a good idea to go to a conference about a particular subject, even if you're not sure that you want to do it, just so that you can talk to people around you that are involved and get a deeper immersion into what it's all about before you really decide to take the plunge and start the business. Now, we all know that conferences are not free. It costs money to register. It costs money to get to where you're going. Even if it's in town, it still costs you something. It costs maybe time off of work from where you're currently working. It's an investment all the way around. So I still think that going to a conference, even if you're not involved in the industry just yet, is still a worthwhile thing to do. But let's talk about that. I'm going to actually go into strategy more in part two. But part one, I'm going to do what I promised, which is first explain why I attend conferences and what they are, where they are. So first of all, why I attend conferences. Okay, one of the reasons that I go to conferences is to meet other people in the industry. When it comes to voiceover, I meet agents, I meet managers, and of course, I meet other voice actors. Most of the people that are at VO Atlanta, for example, which is the biggest voiceover conference, are voice actors, but not everybody. There are occasionally people that I meet from production houses and other places that hire voice actors, but for the most part, I think it's a professional development conference meant for voice actors and voice talent. The professional development comes in with all the sessions, all the different trainings, talking about commercial, narration, video, animation, all the different VO genres. And not only what managers and agents are looking for when you're submitting auditions for these different voiceover genres, but also ways to set up your studio, things that you should know about as a voiceover entrepreneur, a VOpreneur, a business person, a freelancer, whatever title you want to use. You're in business, and a lot of people really focus on just the performance and not so much the business side. But most of these voiceover conferences that I'm going to talk to you about in this video include both. Maybe not all of them so much, but a lot of them, most of them include both. As I alluded to a moment ago, I really appreciate being able to be around people in person. Voiceover is just like any other kind of, freelance type of business where you're a solopreneur, can be quite lonely. And so even if you connect with people on social media, it's just not the same as being able to touch them and be with them in person. It's just like when you are with an old friend, maybe you haven't seen an old friend in many, many years, but when you get with them, it's just a feeling that you have, like no time has passed, and it's extra special. It's more special than a text or a phone call. There's a lot of camaraderie, like a reunion type feel that happens at these conferences, especially the ones where people have known each other maybe online, or they have met in person, but they just don't see each other all year until they come to this conference. It's a way for them to have an excuse to connect and relax and release a bit, even while they're learning, and they get to mix a little bit of the business and pleasure aspect. I know there's many people, myself included, who when a particular conference ends, like VO Atlanta, it's like so exhilarating to be around people and, that also love what you do and do what you love, that when it's time to leave, there's this feeling of sadness. It's like a withdrawal that you're feeling, because it's like, I had all this energy. I was with my people, my people get me. And, now I'm not. So now I'm going to talk about 10 voiceover conferences that I'm aware of. I think this is going to be a pretty thorough list, but if you should happen to think of something or question about something that you're not sure is a voiceover conference, definitely leave me a comment. Let me know. Maybe I missed something. But as of 2020, these are the voiceover conferences that I'm aware of, and I'll let you know the ones that I've been to and different tips that I have if you attend, if they're the same format as they were when I attended. The first one is Audio Publishers Association, which is APA. It's known as APAC for Audio Publishers Association Conference. And this takes place every year in New York City in April. I have not been there before. I have done audiobooks, but I haven't done enough to maybe warrant my interest in attending. I kind of interested in attending, but I'm just not sure that that's what I want to do just yet, as far as like where my focus is not audiobooks. So APAC is the first one. The second one is Mid-Atlantic Voiceover, which is also abbreviated as MAVO, and that is run by Val Kelly. She's a voice actor, and she holds it biannually in November. So November of 2020 will be the next conference as of the publishing of this video, November 2020. It's usually in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Might be Northern Virginia, might be D.C. proper. I'm not exactly sure, but that's where it's located. So it's quite accessible if you're flying in someplace. Most of these conferences are places where they're near a major airport. So in that respect, it's not difficult to find a flight there. I have heard from many people that this is a smaller conference. So that's a consideration if you kind of are put off by big, huge crowds. If it overwhelms you, or if you're an introvert, that might be a better venue for you. Third is That's Voiceover, which is held in November of every year, but it alternates between LA and New York City. So 2020, it'll be in New York City. 2019, it was in LA. It's a husband and wife team, Joan Baker and Rudy Gaskins, and they've been in the industry for many years. They run the SOVAS Awards. SOVAS, S-O-V-A-S, stands for Society of Voice Arts and Sciences. And it's sort of like the Emmys of voiceover, if you will. I attended in 2017 when it was in New York City, and it's a 2-day conference. Actually, the first day is dedicated to all the sessions. They're usually panel discussions if nothing has changed since then. There was like a large area where, there was a continental breakfast at first, and then at lunchtime there was lunch, and I think at dinner time there was dinner. But it wasn't at a hotel, this particular venue. So it wasn't like if you needed to relax or whatever, you could just go to your room and chill out or decompress. It really was nowhere to relax. And it was a 12-hour day, so it was quite long to be not able to retreat somewhere. But I did like the conference. I met one of my idols there, and so it was great. It was awesome. And, Joan and Rudy are people of color, so it's especially inspiring to me to see this power couple really doing it in voiceover. Like, that inspires me. The fact that they have the only, awards thing that I know of for voiceover, that's really admirable. The fourth conference I'm going to mention, which I've already mentioned several times, is VO Atlanta, because that's the one that I know the best. I know the executive director personally and have for years before doing any voiceover stuff. And of course, it's in Atlanta every year. That's why it's called that. And it's the largest conference for voiceover currently. This is the 8th year, 2020, and it always happens in March, either the beginning or end of March. Sometimes it changes, but it's always in March. And the number of sessions, they have like pre-conference sessions, post-conference sessions, as well as the regular sessions, multiple tracks. I think like 6 or 7 different tracks that you can focus in. If you only want to like focus on audiobooks, you can do that. And this year they're having something new, which is an audiobook academy. So check that out if you're interested in audiobooks, like heavy. I'm not intimidated because I'm an extrovert and I'm a goal-getter. So, Even like the first time that I went, there wasn't anyone that I knew. I didn't have any friends or anything there that, I came with or whatever that I would meet there my first time. But, I just focused on, what is it that I want to get out of this conference? What is it that I want to do as far as VO is concerned? Do I want to do e-learning? Do I want to do commercials? Do I want to do promos? Do I want to do video games, animation? What is it that I want to focus on? And there's different tracks for almost all of those genres, if not all of them. And so you could focus that way, or you could just take a hodgepodge. You don't have to just go to all audiobook or all promo sessions. You can go here, go there at will. It's not like you have to sign up for it. And there's just like hundreds of breakouts. So you're getting a variety of, content and ideas. And in my part 2 of this video, I'm going to talk about the strategies that I use at the conference to try to, collate and disseminate that information for myself later so that when I get home, I could take action. Number 5 on my list of 10 VO conferences is, and this isn't ranking like how good they are, it's just the 5th one that I've come up with, is VO Mastery. And I don't know if VO Mastery is every year. It's run by a woman named Randy Thomas. I believe she's in LA. She's well known for live announcing. So she has live announced the Emmys for many years and other major awards that you've heard of before. My brain is drawing a blank. But she has when she does have it, it was the one that I'm aware of. It was in October in LA. 6 on the list is Voxi Summit. Voxi Summit is organized by Lisa Biggs in Charlotte, North Carolina. She usually does it in January. Last year it was May, but for some reason, I don't know why, but usually it's January. And I attended in 2018. All of the sessions and the events were in one room, and it was all women that attended. I want to say maybe like 100 women or so. So it's a small conference. It's easy to be able to talk to whoever you want to talk to because, it's only 100 people or so. 7 is WovoCon. WOVO stands for World Voices. It's an organization that is meant to advocate for voice actors. And I believe they have mentoring and other kinds of things that are involved when you sign up as a member. I'm not currently a member. I'm considering it, but I'm not currently a member. I believe you have to be a member to attend this conference, but I heard from one of the officers at another conference that if you decide to register for the conference, they include a membership as part of your registration fee. So they add it in there so that you can get those benefits. So that's in Las Vegas every year. I think it's in November, but maybe sometimes October. I'm just going to say in the fall of every year in Las Vegas. And I believe that's run by Dave Quavassier, who is a voice actor as well. Number 8, this is going to be a quick one because I don't really know anything about it. VO North. I believe that it's in September every year. I don't know how many there have been, maybe 2 or 3 max. And that's in Toronto. So if you're in Canada, Toronto. I'm saying it wrong. I know it's not Toronto. If you live in Canada or if you've ever wanted to go to Toronto like me and hopefully say it right, then you might want to check out VO North. Number 9 on the list is Vocation. Vocation NYC. It is a new conference. The first one was in September of 2019, and it's run by Karen Gilfrey and Jamie Muffett. They are both voice actors. Jamie actually has a voiceover podcast that he's been running for a few years now, and it's very informative. It's called VO School Podcast. And Karen is a well-known voice actor. She's done a lot of audiobooks, commercials. She just seems like a really great advocate for other voice actors, and they did a marvelous job for it being their first conference. I will tell you a little bit about it since I went. It specifically focuses on the business aspects of voiceover. So performance, not so much. So if you really want to know what it takes to be a VO-preneur, an entrepreneur, a freelancer in voiceover, all the sessions were geared towards that. It was in a venue where they had an auditorium and then they had a couple of small rooms for breakouts. So it wasn't a ton of breakouts and the rooms were small. So maybe only about 30 people or so max could fit in there, which hopefully they'll be able to have a bigger venue next time because a lot of people wanted to attend breakouts that weren't able to. It's a relatively small conference, again, maybe 200 people max, And that was helpful because it's easy to talk to who you want to talk to. If you go to a big conference, you could still talk to who you want to talk to. You just got to do some coordination. I'll talk about it in my strategy for part 2 of this particular video topic. I liked it. They were long days, 12-hour days, but I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I think I'll go back next year. If they do it again this year, I don't know why I said next year. It's 2020. I'm recording this in 2019. That's why. Okay, so I'm going to go. If they do it again, I'm going to go. Last but not least, number 10 is One Voice. It's put on by a company called Gravy for the Brain, which doesn't sound like it has anything to do with voiceover, but it does. It's kind of similar to a couple of other VO schools that I've mentioned in previous videos, Edge Studio and GVAA, which is Global Voice Acting Academy for long. But Gravy for the Brain is based in London. So if you're in the UK or if you're in Europe, that might be easier for you to get to than these other conferences that I've mentioned, which are almost all in America except for VO North. Gravy for the Brain is run by 2 people, Hugh Edwards and Peter Dixon. One of them is a voice actor and one is not. He's a producer and a creative director. They have lots of educational webinars every month. You can be a member there. I don't know if it's like $30, $40 a month. You could be a member. And I was a member for a while and I got a lot of benefit out of it. And I'm sure they've added even more resources in the last couple years since I left. But they have a whole conference over there that you can go to if you want to be in Europe. So there is that. In the next video, I'm going to talk about strategy and different considerations that you need to have when you're planning to go to these voiceover conferences. If you are interested in getting the links to all of these different conferences, I have compiled them as a part of my resource guide, which you can get at bit.ly/Doree voiceover resource. So hopefully you'll go on to part 2. It's linked in this description and I'll see you there.